everyone, it's Chris, and I went to an event on Saturday and I watched a demo with a new technique. Well, at least it's new to me. It's been around quite a while. It is made popular by Stampscapes stamps, and I was just fascinated and I couldn't wait to get home and try this with some of the stamps that I already have. So I'm going to show you a little bit of my practicing. This is a stamp for Gina K Designs. It is Stampscapes Winter Trees, and I'm stamping this with my original MISTI onto Ranger Glossy cardstock using Stuart Superior India ink. This India ink dries quite fast and is archival even on the glossy surface of the glossy card panel. So I'm going to give it a second or two to dry here, and then I'm going to add some ink. This technique can be used with any dye inks, and I have been just having so much fun with this, so I thought I'd share quickly of just how simple this really is. Now I'm applying the ink with a stylus, which is a double-ended handle made by Colorbox with these little oval foam blending pads. And the dye inks I'm using are by Gina K Designs. The first color I added was Lemon Drop, and now I'm adding some Sweet Mango. And I'm adding to the sky because I want this to look like a very colorful sunrise. And now I'm adding the powdered blue from Gina K. And I ink up the foam blending pad, and starting from the edge of my cardstock, I am dragging the ink across. Now I want the center of my image to stay nice and light. That's where my sunrise is. And so I'm pulling the color towards the middle from the edges. Now I've decided there isn't enough color in my sunrise, so I'm adding a little bit of Dusty Rose just to the center, and I'm using the edge of the foam blending pads to just kind of draw in some lines. I want to have the hint of some wispy clouds in my sunrise. And also adding a little deeper yellow. This is Wild Dandelion. And I'm also drawing some, kind of some little hints, lines in the sky, because I want the underside of my clouds to be lit up from that sun. And I'm also adding Wild Lilac. Now you're going to see that my little foam blending pads have all been kind of used by one of my ink colors. So when I moved to my grassy area, I decided to try one of my typical round foam blending sponges. And since this is a larger area in the grass, it works quite well. But you're going to want the little foam blending pads for more detailed areas. So I'm adding some Jelly Bean Green and also some Christmas Pine. I want a darker area in the shadowy areas of the hills and behind the trees. But the distance between Christmas Pine and Jelly Bean Green is a little bit too great. So now I'm going to kind of temper those colors by adding some Moonlit Fog over the top. Moonlit Fog is a kind of a greenish gray, and it tones down the Christmas Pine and even pulls in some more shadow to the backside of those hills. But it also toned down my Jelly Bean Green, so I'm going to have to brighten that up a little bit again later. Now I am adding charcoal brown using the side of these blending foams, and I'm just pulling a line at the base of those hills. I want to make sure that it looks in shadow behind the trees and the crest of those little hills. And for even more definition and brightness down the center of my image, I'm going to add in more Jelly Bean Green. Now I'm using some black onyx and a paintbrush. I have made sure my paintbrush is clean, and I just pick up the ink with the end of this thin paintbrush, and I'm drawing the definition at the base of those hills, and I'm also scribbling in some shadow from the trees. I just love this technique. I've seen Stampscape images before, and they always look so fascinating and amazing. So when I actually watched the demo and saw how simple it was to just bring in the color with the foam blender pads, I thought, my gosh, I think I can do this. So I couldn't wait to get home and try, and I was just amazed at how much fun it is and how forgiving this technique is, because you can move the ink around very easily on the glossy cardstock, and so you can really fix a lot of mistakes. You can keep blending. If you get a little smudge, you can kind of tone it down by adding white pigment, and that's what I'm doing right now. First, I'm using a brush, and I am drawing in some wispy clouds across my sunrise. And I'm trying to highlight areas along with those areas of color that I had added with the dandelion and the dusty rose and the sweet mango. So I want to make it look like there is color reflected on the base of my clouds. So I'm adding the white pigment above those colored, stripes, if you will. And as soon as the white pigment dries, you can go back with the second coat and brighten the white even further. Now I have an area right in the middle that I thought was a little bit too pink. So I'm just toning that down by adding some white and then just kind of smudging it with my finger. And I also feel that I went a little bit too high up on the hill on my trees when I added my Christmas pine. So I'm trying to tone that down just a little bit too. And now I'll clean my brush. And because I did get some white across my trees, I'm going to use the brush and the black onyx ink, and I'm going to dot those branches back in again. So like I said, make mistakes and then fix them. Now I'm going to take the ink blender sponge, and I'm adding a little bit of black onyx. I'm pulling those shadows under the trees a little bit deeper, and I'm also adding just a little bit of the black onyx very faintly to the edges of the card, just to make it look like the center is brighter. By deepening the edges, that center just gets nice and illuminated by my sunrise. And now I'm going to trim this, or I already have trimmed it. I trimmed the frame actually off, and then I'm going to mat this. But I'm adding the little flying birds that are included with the Framescapes set, and the sentiment that says "Thinking of You." And I'm stamping those in the India ink as well, so they dry very quickly. I just popped it right back in my MISTI and lined those up, and they are good to go. I'll let that dry for a second. And I'm going to mount this on a green card base with a black mat. And that is my 26-minute card. So it is a lot of fun, and chances are you already have a lot of these supplies, so I just would like to encourage you to try. This, I know the technique's been around a long time, but as far as me, it's very new to me, so I will be probably doing lots of practicing with this. So maybe I'll check in again later. So there is my finished card. Thanks for watching, everyone.